In this episode of Brainpower, let's talk about AI copilots and the learning journey. Let's jump in. Hello, friends. Today we are going to be exploring chatbots, copilots, underlords, whatever name you give it. It's AI assisting humans in the work that we do day in and day out, also for learning and for completing tasks, customer facing tasks that we'll take a look at here shortly. Now, keep in mind that any links that I share today, information, summaries, all that is going to be found at my website /brainpower. So there will be a PDF. Typically, the PDF is done ahead of time, not in this case. So hang tight while I get those ready for you to download. All right, very good. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump into our topic for the day: AI co-pilots and the learning journey. So, it's interesting when you think about chatbots and what's happening with generative AI. It seems like that there are more opportunities to use low code, no code solutions to build your own chatbot. There are many vendors that are out there supporting various types of assistant and chatbot platforms. And so, this type of effort of going in and building human AI assistants is way easier than it used to be. But we've always tried to put out there some type of assistant or leveraging the computer to help humans out in their work day in and day out. And so that's what today is. It's an exploration of how that shows up and some thoughts and ideas around that. So with that, let's just take a quick view at history and where we've come. And so it's this progression, right? Of we talk about learning traditional methods in the classroom. And then when I first really took off my career 30 years ago, that was the e-learning era. And then eventually the internet came on, and this is where we're at today. But now, with data readily accessible within our organizations, with computational power that we have with AI systems, we now have the ability to go ahead and scale up AI assisted learning. And again, today's conversation is, what are the things to think about when you are considering a chatbot or a co-pilot or even a sidekick? And I'll get into all the differences between those here in just a little bit. But these advantages that we have include, they're on demand. So if you need assistance now, you can access that. Also, they can be adaptive based upon the questions that you're asking or the solutions that you're looking for. They can go in and modify and change the information coming back, and they can be personalized. So based upon who you are or the information that you're trying to acquire, we can go ahead and add a personalization to that copilot. Now, I want to talk about this within the learning journey. And I was trying to think about a framework. And, I do have a framework that I use that goes in and talks about instructional marketing and then priming and content and so on. But in thinking about like performance support and how chatbots are really being used today, we're going to be talking about it in just a slightly different framework, but it's one that is proven. And I highly respect these gentlemen that came up with it. We're going to base our conversation around Bob and Con's 5 moments of need. Now, if you have not heard of Bob Mosier and Conrad Gottfredson, please go check out their website. I have it up there right there, and I'll put it in the show notes in the download at www.5momentsofneed.com. So, what are the 5 moments of need? Learning for the first time, learning more, applying what you've learned, when things go wrong, and when things change. Now, think about these 5 moments. What a perfect way to use an AI assistant for all of these, right? So, what I'm going to illustrate at the end of the show is kind of like a mock case study for onboarding. And I'm going to illustrate how each of the 5 moments of need can be addressed with a virtual assistant. All right. So hang tight. You're going to get that case study at the end. And in between, I'm going to go over, some of the nuts and bolts of how these co-pilots show up. So let's go ahead and first break down this framework of various types of assistants that are out there. Now, the first one is going to be chat. And I'm going to show examples of these in just a moment. All right. Chat is like the low hanging fruit. I know that in my workshops, we go in and create a chat bot leveraging GPT 3.5. It's incredibly easy to set up and start playing with. And so, again, that's like the low hanging fruit, but it has huge impact. But then there's a progression. All right. So with chat, we have like basic interactions and information retrieval. But now let's say we want some more sophistication in there. We can then move up to an AI assistant where this gets involved with task management and any type of organization that's happening in the background. It continues. Copilot. This is a big term. And it's in the title of today's presentation, right? So with Copilot, this is where we have collaboration, guidance, problem solving from the assistant. And you'll see that here in Microsoft PowerPoint in just a bit. And then we finally have the AI sidekick. And this is probably one of the more complicated implementations of an AI assistant, but it is incredibly powerful because the sidekick is going to offer a various level of support that's integrated in with a platform or a system to where it's going in and doing the work for you with your guidance or with your direction. And so you can go back and forth with a sidekick to do deep work through your personalized recommendations. It's pretty wild. Okay. Now, with that, let's go ahead and let's take a look at some examples, some real world examples that are out there of first starting with a chatbot and then kind of working our way up to assistant, co-pilot, and then a sidekick. So I'm going to switch over here real quick. And we are going to go out to the Amtrak website. If you've never been on an Amtrak train, I highly recommend it. Actually, it's kind of a cool experience. There's Wi-Fi. There's a food area. It's kind of wild. So if you have time, check them out. Anyway, so let's say that I'm up on Amtrak and I need some assistance, right? Amtrak has Julie. And so, hey, Julie, I need to go ahead and book some tickets. And I hit enter, and Julie is right here. Book tickets. Pretty wild, right? So I can go in and continue my conversation here and need train stations. And that's being sent to Julie. I hope. Maybe it still wants me to book tickets. Let's try it up here. Need train stations. And we'll go to Amtrak route maps. It's funny, when I was testing this earlier, it jumped and gave me like a big map. Oh, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Thanks, Julie. for getting in there and bringing this up for me. We travel to many great destinations, and I can continue working with Julie to work on my routes and book tickets and so forth. Okay. Now, again, what I want you to think about for a moment is this dynamic that's occurring here. Again, as a consumer, or even as a learner for that matter, I want to go ahead and get an answer, or I want to go ahead and perform a task. And I really don't care how it's done or where I, learn that information. I just want it to happen. And so there's various levels of experiences. So, Julie is just this static character, but it can change, right? And so let's take a look at a chat, but at a different level. So this next one is chess database. And if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a chat bot, but all right. Now, instead of typing in an open question, I have choices down here. So this chatbot is extremely narrow and mapped out, but you can tell that there's a different level of personalization here with this avatar. Obviously, European. Okay, so you get the idea, right? So we have these simple chat interfaces that allow us to go in and get additional information or perform a task. Now, the next one I want to show you is mobilecoach.com. This is Vince Hahn's company. If you don't know Vince, go look him up. I'll put his information in the show notes, the download. But you can come up and you actually can try these various chat bots that Mobile Coach has created. And some of these map to the various chat bots and agents that I'm going to be getting into here, or copilots. So, for instance, like with onboarding, I can just go ahead and click on the web interface here, and that takes me right to a web widget. So now I can go in and have a conversation, and it says, "Welcome to Mobile Coach. It's great to have you as our newest employee. What's your job title?" "Hey, I'm the new CEO." And it's going to continue the conversation. "I have 30 years of experience." "Be a great leader." And then it continues. So now we have some customization going on in here, which is pretty awesome. Now it's not necessarily completing any task. Check this out though. I can also demo nudges and encouragement over the next week to show you how I can remember this goal and help you work towards it. Now we're dealing with task management, right? And so remember that in our little framework, that we had a chat that can give us basic information and retrieve information, but then the assistant is now coming in and helping us with task management or organizing our to-do list or anything like that. So now the functionality goes up. Let's now talk about Copilot. Now, every time you hear about Copilot, what do you think? Microsoft, right? Well, let's go in and take a look at how Copilot shows up inside a PowerPoint. So here I have a blank PowerPoint presentation, and I want to go in and illustrate Copilot. So click on Copilot in the upper right-hand corner. Copilot opens up, and now I can create a presentation about a topic. I can create a presentation from a file. I can add a slide about something. So I can do, again, very high level, big decks, or I can go in and create individual slides. Pretty awesome, right? So here we are going to collaborate with Copilot in building out a deck. Now, Let's make it fun. I was going to do something work related, but what the heck? I'm going to go in here and create a presentation about cooking a smoked, you got it, potato salad. This should be pretty interesting what it comes up with. All right, so I am going to let that cook and simmer a bit while it's doing its work. Now, this should be a fairly small deck. I would imagine this is only going to be about 10 slides. It's going to go ahead and search the internet for images. It's going to give us a layout. It's going to give us step-by-step instructions. So it's now working to generate the initial deck. Once the initial deck is created, we then will collaborate with Copilot and add additional slides, modify slides. All right, preparing the potato. Oh, look at that. It's looking pretty good. Not too shabby. Do we actually get a recipe in here? No recipe, but I'm telling you, that's not too bad. That's pretty wild. Well, let me see. Can you add a slide with a recipe? Let's see if it does it. Again, working in collaboration with the Copilot to do deeper type work. A slide with a recipe has been added. See the recipe. I guess I would have to continue working with it to actually get the text. Let's do it one more time. Hey, where is that text? Oh, I butchered that typing, so I don't know if it'll actually see that command, but we'll see what happens. It's probably a little confused. Let's like drum roll, please. I can't do that. Okay, but you get the idea with a Copilot. It will be interesting to see how this technology matures as applications have co-pilots inside of them to do deeper type work. This is where AI agents and automations are going to come into play. And in regards to our learning tools, you will see similar type of functionality in tools like Articulate Storyline, Rise, Captivate. All those tools are going to have co-pilots in there so that you can upload documents and knock out a course. Pretty wild, right? Now, let's take a look at our last one. Again, just for reference, this is the sidekick. Now, the sidekick is when we start doing extremely deep work, there's constant proactive support. It's always asking for, do you need assistance? And it's going in and doing uh, large amounts of tasks, right? Now, the one example that I'm going to share with you is at Shopify. And Shopify has a sidekick that you work with to build out your shopping site, as far as the design, individual elements, all those things that it takes to build out a shopping website. There's a lot, right? But as I scroll down, you can see every entrepreneur is a hero, but even heroes need a sidekick. All right, what can it do? Modify product backgrounds, write better product descriptions, get answers for your FAQs for your products, email responses, turn live chats into checkouts. So it does conversions, right? All of this is AI driven. And again, these are bigger tasks, all built in within the system. And so we're starting to see this term sidekick being used frequently for that ultimate level of collaboration when you're working with AI to do that deep type of work. Right? Excellent. So those are the examples that I have. And I now want to go in and talk about how these co-pilots show up. Again, you saw many examples. And so we saw text-based chat, voice. We didn't see any voice interaction that was bi-directional. We did have that one chat with the avatar that was using voice, but keep in mind that with multimodal AI, generative AI, that we can have bi-directional voice. We saw that with the demonstration of GPT 4.0. They have yet to release their voice module as of this recording uh, at scale, but we will have it. Avatars. Oh, we just saw an avatar in one of our examples, but it was very static. In other words, like it was pre-recorded, there was a script, and there was a set number of questions that were available through the whole interaction type. But keep in mind that with future technology, that these avatars will be able to come alive and probably in real time respond, render and respond in real time. So that should be interesting when that comes online. And then, of course, all of these different ways of interacting with a computer, including AR. Now, we're looking pretty far down the road, but there are ways that you can go in and leverage a chatbot today within an AR environment, right? Again, it's out there, it's just not at scale. So we have all these various interfaces to think about as we're planning our co-pilot or assistant. And again, VR is yet another method of accessing help or accessing an assistant. So as far as the learning experience itself, you need to take a moment and think about how our audience members are going to work with the co-pilot, work with the assistant. One can be going in and responding to queries. The co-pilot can anticipate what the learner may need, adapting to the learner's situation. So as a conversation continues or there's awareness of what's happening within the learner's environment or within an application, it can be adaptive. Personalization is massive. So as Gen AI scales, we'll be able to create chatbots and co-pilots that are personalized to the individual learner and also adaptive. So again, as compute scales, we'll be able to go in and have adaptive, interactive experiences with these chatbots. That's going to lead to a whole new way of creating learning experiences for your associates. Let's go back to the 5 moments of need and map solutions to those 5 moments. So, we went ahead and we explored some chatbots and an assistant, co-pilot, a sidekick. How does that jive with those 5 moments of need? Let's go back to those 5 moments and map it to a chatbot solution. So with new learning, you can have a co-pilot that's AI driven, personalized onboarding, training programs. Again, the case study I'm going to go over here in just a little bit involves new hire training, learning more, having adaptive content delivery and micro learning modules available, even launched from the chatbot or co-pilot, applied knowledge or applying knowledge, just in time performance support with AI co-pilots, problem solving. So being able to talk to a co-pilot to troubleshoot. Now I see this, within an application that happens frequently. So it'd be interesting, and you see this with PowerPoint, right? To have a higher level conversation, because right now it's kind of superficial. I asked for it to go ahead and create a recipe. Again, my butchered typing didn't help, but it kind of failed. Created an image, didn't just give me a recipe, just gave me an image. So there's some lack in regards to how the bi-directional communication is working, but that will improve over time. And I believe that as it improves, we'll be able to see the problem solving functionality kick in. Adapting to change. So again, we're going back to the associate adapting to change. So any kind of updates that are occurring in the environment. And this is actually really fascinating because think about all the times that learning and development department is reactive to what's happening within the business, what's happening out in our business environments, and then you have to scurry to go in and support some kind of change that's occurred. But with AI, it is quite possible to go in and programmatically or through Gen AI adapt or to react to that change, and then within the AI assistant itself, it's ready to go, either with guidance or with any kind of documentation or standard operating procedure that's brand new. Now we can go in and we can apply it to the chatbot, assistant, copilot, or sidekick. Pretty wild. Some other things to think about as far as the functionality of copilots, uh, going in and doing personalized skill gap analysis, adaptive practice sessions, real-time feedback and coaching, progress tracking, visualization, AI-powered peer and expert matching. All these things that we want or available to our associates becomes a reality when we have our assistants or our co-pilots available to offer these types of experiences, right? So, but this is a maturation level. I mean, we're going to see products and we're going to see vendors gravitate towards these types of solutions within their chatbot products. All right. So, a couple other things to think about. Let's take a look at facilitating behavior change through AI. So, things like contextual reminders. If you remember in the mobile coach, it's a CEO of 30 years. It was asking me if I want nudges, right? That's kind of cool. So, built within that chatbot, even though it was very simple, it was giving me the option to go ahead and get a nudge, probably even through an application like the web or my mobile device. Personalized motivational strategies, progress monitoring, AI powered role playing and scenario training, all available within chatbots and assistants. Think about data. Oh, data is so important, right? Well, these interactions are bidirectional, and we can collect data within those interactions. And that data can be used for personalized learning, identifying knowledge gaps, measuring return on investment of learning. So if we are putting forth the effort of building out these chatbots, there's a cost, time, and money to that. Are we actually moving the needle? Like, can we measure based upon usage, any type of correlated results from that chatbot or assistant activity? Adapting curriculums, right? And also keeping up with changes that are occurring in the marketplace. So, there are challenges, and here are just a few to go over. Um, with AI, again, there's problems with hallucinations and accuracy. So, whatever that AI assistant is trained on or referencing, make sure you test it, right? Always keep human in the loop, and in regards to human touch, keep it in there. Privacy and security are always a concern when using AI. Behavior. Just because you build an AI assistant or a chatbot doesn't mean anyone's going to use it. I mean, heck, think about the applications that you use today, and now there's AIification in there. Are you compelled to actually click that little magic button to use AI? Sometimes, honestly, I forget about it. Or even if it's in line with the cursor and I can start using AI, I am so ingrained into my workflows that I have to like premeditate and say, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and use AI here. So there may be resistance to putting out some type of chatbot or copilot. And then again, there's always changes with technology. So you may go in and create some type of amazing chatbot, and then the whole world changes, and now everybody's doing real live virtual avatars. And meanwhile, you're still using text. So again, keep that in mind. So just a couple other benefits. This is forward looking in regards to a chatbot based interface or chatbot interactions. With AI, we will get hyper personalization of learning experiences again through an assistant. That could be the way that we go about that. AI human collaborative teaching models. We have yet to even experience AI at scale in such a way that it can produce learning journeys on the fly based upon various models that are out there, right? Like Gagne's 9 moments. Let's say we're going to base it on that model, and boom, it automatically creates all of those experiences. Seamlessly integrate in with your work and processes. Emotional intelligence in AI interactions. Sure, emotions are going to come into play. If you look at those OpenAI GPT 4.0 demonstrations, emotion was a big part of that bidirectional voice communication in those platforms. And even having a personalized assistant that could be your lifelong learning companion. I know we're looking very forward on that, but if you have an assistant that's personalized to you, you're emotionally engaged with that assistant, and it just works for you, that could be your learning companion. Because everybody's had a favorite teacher, right? And what was the makeup of that teacher that got you engaged, emotionally connected to the information, and heightened your sense of awareness as to when they were like teaching and all that information going into long-term memory? Imagine that with an assistant. All right. So I want to kind of bring this all together with a mock case study. And let's say that we are tasked with creating an AI chatbot assistant or various solutions for career launch. This is our AI onboarding initiative, and it's going to be comprehensive, AI driven, multiple systems to help support our new hires as they come on to our company. All right. So, again, there's multiple assistant types. It's going to be personalized and seamless integration with HR processes. So, this is kind of like pie in the sky, infinite time, infinite money. Let's go for it and build this out. How does it show up? All right. Well, the first thing that we can do is take a look at those 5 moments of need one more time. All right. So, with a new hire, there's definitely going to be a lot of learning for the first time, no doubt about it. So, this could be personalized onboarding plans and initial training, as opposed to a one size fits all experience. This can be completely customized. I mean, I think about seasoned salespeople coming on board being just they got to wade through all that initial information. Some of it's critical, but some of it can be redundant. And that's when we get into just the massive clicking next to blow through and check the box. And when we onboard, right? But the personalized, that shows up different. Learning more. So adaptive learning paths and continuous knowledge updates from our assistants. Applying knowledge. So just in time support, guided task completion. Again, that could be within an application as an assistant. Problem solving, AI powered troubleshooting and peer connection through a sidekick or through a chatbot. And then adapting to change. So proactive updates on company changes and evolving job roles. Again, that could be a nudge or a push through an assistant. Again, just trying to explore what is possible out there and thinking about all these different touch points. Again, the 5 moments of need is a great framework to think about how these chatbots and assistants copilots and sidekicks can help support an associate throughout their whole entire learning journey. Couple examples. Here is Onboard Bot, your 24/7 onboarding companion. That's right, not just during office hours. So, what could Onboard Bot do as a chat bot? It could go in and provide instant answers to FAQs, be efficient and time saving, guides new hires through paperwork and processes, ensures smooth onboarding, learns and improves from each interaction, so constantly evolving and adapting. Let me go back. So, this is typically showing up right now in your major human capital management systems like Workday, Oracle, SAP, right? So this is kind of like the low hanging fruit to where this type of functionality is already into the human capital management system. But now via a chatbot, you're able to go in and perform these tasks without like making a call to HR, like, hey, how do I access my 401k? All that is in there. So again, these are types of functions that we do see in the marketplace. Now, let's crank it up a notch and let's do a voice guide. So voice guide can be our hands-free onboarding support. And the way that can show up is via speech recognition and natural language processing. It can understand what that new hire is saying and respond accordingly. It assists with hands-on tasks during setup. So it could provide step-by-step instructions about what's happening inside of a physical environment, kind of a outlier type solution, but it is possible. Provides audio guides or office navigation. So, think about a walkabout kind of tour of the office. I mean, I know most people are like in a hybrid environment, but if you got to go into the office, you can take that auditory guide with you that could include visuals or showing images at the same time with the audio to guide them around the office, give them a tour, and accessible option for employees with different needs. Yeah. One thing I haven't talked about yet is AI allows us to go in and through multimodal capabilities generate different experiences. It's that personalization. So again, if you do have individuals that have certain needs and you need to create different modes of accessing the information, that will be available at scale eventually. All right. So, again, something to think about there. Now let's talk about Alex, our virtual onboarding buddy. Everybody needs an Alex. Now, Alex can, again, this can be more of a co pilot, a more advanced type of setup when it comes to onboarding. And he's visual, he's there, he could be in an app on your phone, and as a more so than voice. So this avatar comes up and gives you this walkthrough of the office, could even introduce you to a couple coworkers virtually, demonstrates company culture. So again, through an avatar going in and giving you the background, could even interview the CEO or leaders, provides emotional support and encouragement. Sure, why not? Right? It's almost like your own little mini cohort, you and Alex doing this together. Future Sight. This is our proactive onboarding support. So again, this is more of a sidekick experience with new hire training. Sidekick can anticipate new hire needs based on data analysis. So from a talent management standpoint, again, now obviously this is internal to HR, but again, based on data collected, can go in and identify where future needs could be, can go in and suggest personalized learning paths, offering tailored learning resources, offers resources and support, guidance and assistance for new hires, initiates long-term career development planning. Again, this can be more of a sidekick that is part of an application. So even though some of these tasks we've talked about before, we're talking about at a higher level, more integration in there. And this could be career pathing. It could even map to additional training that are on different types of platforms like LinkedIn Learning or Pluralsight, right? Doing more advanced type things, tracking skills, skill validation, all that could be in there. So let's bring this all together as far as our little example here of career launch. It's going to combine all of these AI components. It's going to have adaptive learning inside of it. It's going to integrate in with our HR system, and it's going to have data-driven insights, right? And so as we move forward, look for these types of features inside your human capital management systems or inside chatbot software applications, Copilot, no code, low code type applications that give you this type of functionality. Some other things to consider when building out an assistant or Copilot in regards to implementation. Remember, just because you can doesn't mean you should, and this should always tie back to clear objectives and pain points. Why? What's the business reason? How are we going to measure what we've done, right? So what is the purpose? Seamless integration is essential. There can be zero barriers to accessing a chatbot, an assistant, sidekick, copilot. It's got to be integrated with whatever system, environment that your associates are working in. It's got to be easy to use. The user experience and accessibility, it's got to be in place. It's got to be thoroughly tested and even personalized. That's going to come into play. Keep in mind, it's a piece of software. And when you create software, it's not a one and done. There's maintenance, there's iterations, there's improvements, and that's all part of the deal. And finally, the last item here is balance AI assistance and human touch. Don't go all in to where it's completely AI. If you're gonna hire somebody, there better be a human touch to it, not just all AI. But what this gives you is huge time savings, especially for leaders. Because with leaders, they barely have enough time to onboard somebody. And leveraging AI to go in and have that personalized experience, now they can spend that really critical one on one time with a new hire to show them a process, to show them something about their environment that's critical, like a safety issue, whatever the case may be, right? So, again, this is going to allow leaders or individuals that are critical components of that onboarding process to have more time to do those really critical knowledge transfer, skill transfer, or even behavior changes for that new hire. All right. So we have come to the end, and I want you to, remember, what problem are you trying to solve with the Copilot? What problem are you trying to solve with the chatbot? How is that going to be measured? What does that look like? Leverage your current learning and development processes. Lean into it, but again, think about with this new technology, generative AI, what the possibilities are. They're very wide. But odds are, through the training content or the learning journeys that you've put together, tweaking or modifying and adding an assistant as part of that should be pretty easy. Like you've done the work. It just shows up different, right? Identify opportunities as AI technology progresses. Like now may not be the time, but like don't blink because who knows, maybe next week a new product comes out that will instantly go in and create a avatar chatbot that is immersive, that is personalized, and it just works. Now, we have a bit to go before that happens. I could be wrong, but You just never know. So again, make sure that you understand what's happening in the marketplace as far as chatbot and copilot technology, and get ready because there's going to be a certain point where you're going to look, doesn't feel right, it may not show up right, but then that all changes. Once you do identify a technology, pilot it. Can you sandbox it? Can you try it with a few users? Give it a go. Just don't jump in and say, hey, this is what we're going to use. And when you're piloting, or even if you launch and you have a chat or a copilot or assistant, get feedback. Right? Again, this is just not a one and done. And finally, ensure that there is alignment with your organizational goals and your culture. Right? Again, what is the business need? Why are we even doing this in the first place? Because once you build that chatbot or that assistant, you got to maintain it, document it. What if the person that actually built the chatbot is not with the organization anymore? How does that chatbot work? Right? Or who has the vendor relationship? Who's the SME on the virtual assistant? You get the idea, right? Well, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me here today. It's been quite a journey. I know there's so much to think about when it comes to chatbots and assistants and co-pilots and sidekicks, but it's going to be pretty amazing, right? The ability for us to go ahead and support our associates in all these various ways just means that as humans, we show up better. It's going to allow us more time, especially when we can get to these hyper personalized experiences that are truly emotional, that can change behavior, change habits, and allow us to have those deeper type interactions with our coworkers and with our associates. And I truly do believe that chatbots and assistants are going to help us in that endeavor. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Take care.